Well, greetings to my Heartland family. Unfortunately, for security reasons, I cannot use video to share my update with you. However, I'm grateful for this opportunity to share through this audio recording today. Thanks to Tony for helping with this. So most of you know already what kind of work I've been doing in China. I'm continuing to work with students and teaching English students at a medical university. I continue to lead English corners, have students over to my home for various activities. We go out hiking, and these are all ways that I can build relationship with them. And I'm also continuing to work with returnees in my city. This involves mentoring, discipleship, Bible studies, helping new believers, teaching them Bible, leading seeker studies, and most recently, this past year or two, counseling and coaching sessions with many of the single ladies, which is sort of a new area for me, and but I really enjoy that mentoring role with them. So what am I doing presently? Well, I came back to Canada. It was a pandemic-driven decision. I arrived back in Canada February 15th. I was quarantined for 2 weeks in British Columbia, and then I arrived in Ontario the beginning of March. I stayed with Eunice Russell for a month in Clinton. Very grateful for that. And now I'm living in Seaforth at a relative's home, and I'm also very grateful for this provision for a place to settle in temporarily. I've been connecting with supporters, family, friends in Canada, and also friends in my country of service. And we do this through online prayer meetings, Bible studies. And I'm also doing some training with my organization. I'm taking 2 online courses through Zoom, and one course is advanced counseling, and the other one is member care. And I feel that both of these will certainly help with my future ministry. So, plans going forward. I'm still on contract with my university. In fact, I've been in contact with them quite a bit this past few weeks, messaging, emails back and forth. And they would love to have me come back. My contract is still open. They haven't dissolved it, as in some cases in China, some of the foreign teachers have had their contracts dissolved and their salaries cut. So I'm thankful that mine is still open. And but of course, it depends on when the Chinese government opens the border for foreigners. And in fact, they just finished a 1-week national holiday. And in the first 3 days, over 85 million tourist visits were recorded. And that's just in the first 3 days. So you can just imagine the millions of people traveling again across the country. And furthermore, the annual meeting of the officials that meet up in the capital, about 3,000 delegates, they've announced that this will go ahead. So I think the next couple weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, will be a good indicator if there will be a second wave of the virus. Hopefully not. So I'm just waiting and trusting, and I'll continue to be in contact with the university. I'm hoping I can get back this summer because my current visa expires in September, and it will be much easier if I can renew my visa in country rather than here in Canada. And also my apartment is waiting for me. I didn't close up my apartment, so everything is there. I have a local friend staying there to water the plants and take care of things, which I'm really grateful for. Now, I'd just like to share something, a little bit of a bigger picture of how this COVID-19 virus has been affecting China and the church there. Well, Chinese New Year 2020 will be unforgettable. No one could have predicted that this year's New Year festival would become unforgettable because of the COVID-19 virus. The most important thing to do at Chinese New Year is to go home, visit your family and relatives. And for many years now, Chinese New Year has created the largest migration event on the planet Earth every year. However, since New Year's Eve this year, January 23rd, following the lockdown of the city of Wuhan, mandatory shutdowns were implemented all over the country, preventing that oldest of Chinese New Year traditions, visiting family members. There has not been a time since the Cultural Revolution when the New Year season has been this tense. The virus outbreak and city lockdowns have impacted the Chinese church. Sunday services and gatherings stopped because people were not permitted to gather together. Some churches in remote areas, especially with elderly members, were not able to meet at all. So the pandemic has been a public disaster, but it's also brought some unexpected positive changes to the church. The church has engaged in a lot of reflection. Soon after the Wuhan lockdown, the Wuhan Church Prayer Union issued a nationwide call for Christians to fast and pray. From this appeal for prayer and the response of the church, we have observed several trends. So when I say we, I'm referring to my organization. And I'd just like to share these three trends that we've observed. The first is in calling for prayer and fasting, the initial challenge was for individual Christians to offer prayers of confession and reflect on ways they may have offended God. Due to decades of urbanization, economic development, materialism, and secularization have been on the increase, and much of society has become morally bankrupt. Many have come to the church as a reaction to this corruption in society. They hear God's truth in the church and find a different quality of life and fellowship. Although these first-generation Christians hate the corruption around them and know they should live better lives, most of them only have a superficial faith and simply follow a list of do's and don'ts in living out their Christian lives. But this virus outbreak has made it possible for more people to reflect on Chinese culture and customs, including food culture and interpersonal relationships. The second trend is related to beginning in the 1980s when rural China was still very poor. Christians used the downtime between agricultural seasons to evangelize, especially during New Year. It was extremely effective and became a New Year tradition for Christians that has lasted for decades. Even at times of severe persecution, it continued. This year, though, is the first Chinese New Year in 40 years with almost no outreach. However, the absence of meetings does not mean that the church is inactive. On the contrary, Christians are very active, communicating through the internet and mobile apps. Many are taking the initiative to visit relatives, friends, and family virtually, bringing warmth and hope, especially to those who are housebound. So although the epidemic prevented people from gathering, at the same time, the internet has made pastoral care and one-on-one discipleship possible. The last trend that we've observed is related to the Chinese Christians and how they have been influenced by traditional thinking. In the past, they have generally taken little interest in social trends and needs. 12 years ago, the Sichuan earthquake, you may remember this was in the news. Chinese Christians volunteered to do relief work for the first time. They shared the love of Christ with the victims, and many Christian NGOs were established. This year, the virus outbreak has forced Christians to empathize with their neighbors, and just like the Old Testament prophets, they are praying for their people, for their nation, asking God for his mercy and forgiveness. 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and restore their land. I know we are also praying for this, for the church in Canada, and many prayer movements are happening around the world right now. The global church is really calling out to God and repenting. Um, the coronavirus is bringing a revival among the church in China. Online chat rooms are reviving the church through prayer and worship. Several hundred people join in a 24/7 nonstop prayer chain started on February 1st, 2020, and that is still going now. Another online prayer chat room prays for a different city in China every night. I've been involved in some of these prayer meetings, and it's very encouraging to hear the Chinese believers calling out to God and repenting on behalf of their nation. Yes, even the darkness will not be darkness to you, Lord. May our hearts be encouraged as we continue to put our faith in God. Perhaps this global pandemic has forced us to press the pause button, and it is time to pause and to reflect. But it is also a time to unite and reach out. Let us continue to put our faith in Him. Lastly, I'd just like to share some challenges and opportunities in my country of service. As you may recall in my previous prayer letters, I mentioned that since 2018, there have been more and more restrictions on what we can do, meaning foreign Christians in China, what we can do, what we can share, how we can meet. And many workers, including several of my colleagues, have had to leave, and often with a very short notice, usually 24 to 48 hours notice. So this has been the kind of tension that we've been living under. For me, this means I can no longer host large group gatherings. However, that doesn't mean I'm not connecting with people. It just means more like one-on-one or two at a time, three at a time. Another challenge is with technology. Our phones and computers are being tampered with more and more, so sometimes this affects our ability to access internet and certain sites that we need to use. It can be very frustrating, but it's a new normal, and we've come to live with it. Opportunities. Because of restrictions, more interactions like one-on-one or meeting with couples or a family unit are happening. There's more mentoring and member care opportunities. I now have a lot of long-time close friendships with locals. Because I speak their language, they trust me. And so this opens the door for me to share my faith with those that don't know our Father, and to help those that are new in their faith journey. I've had even more wonderful opportunities to mentor, teach Bible, and pray with local friends under these new restrictions. There are certainly no lack of people needs, divine appointments, and I know I've often asked for prayer for divine appointments, divine conversations, and I'm sure you do pray that way as well. And that's one prayer that I know God will always answer. So I've also had the opportunity to reach out to neighbors, two children that I'm teaching English to. One is my neighbor's son across the hallway, and another is a 5-year-old girl just the apartment building beside me. So through these opportunities to teach these children, I've been getting to know the parents and the grandparents. As far as prayer needs, I don't think I'll share in this recording because about 2 days ago, I sent out my prayer letter, and I trust that most of you have received the prayer letter with the prayer needs in it. If you don't have the email address to get that prayer letter, please let Larry or Gloria know about that, and we can make sure that it gets sent to you. And so I just want to finish by thanking each one of you very much for your ongoing support and prayers. It really means a lot to me. And it is through your prayers and support that I've been able to remain on the field, and that I, Lord willing, soon will be able to return to my work in Asia. Psalm 121:8. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. The Lord bless you, keep you. May he be gracious to you and give you peace. Thank you. God bless.